Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to every one of you. I am Bernard Wong from ALIA, and it's a pleasure to host today's session. This morning we have two sessions back to back, and it's great to see many of you registered for this event today. We have two speakers for you, Dennis Bachelder from the American Petroleum Institute, API, followed by Piyanuch from the Thailand Department of Energy. Now, we look forward to your comments and questions for the speakers after their respective session. You can raise your hand and ask them yourself or send your questions to the question box. So first, let me introduce the first speaker, Mr. Dennis Bachelder. Dennis Bachelder is Senior Engineer, Engine Oil Licensing and Certification System, or EOLCS as you know, American Petroleum Institute in Washington, D.C. His educational background is both a Bachelor of Science and a Master's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Wisconsin. In the API, his role includes lubricant development and evaluation, engine testing, additive package development, and lubricant product line development. While working for engine manufacturers, Dennis sets lubricant standards at General Electric, Continental Motors, and Fairbanks SEMT Peel Stick. He helped develop engine tests to evaluate performance of engine oils for gasoline and diesel-fueled engines. Currently, Dennis works to maintain API 1509 engine oil standard and progress the development of new passenger car and heavy-duty engine oil standards. Over to you, Dennis.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to this review of the API Engine Oil Licensing and Certification System with the aftermarket audit program as well. So we'll start the presentation now. Well, welcome everybody. I'd like to just go over some of the history that API has with engine oils. We have been setting engine oil standards for more than 70 years. We did it very early on when no one else was interested in it. About more than 35 years ago, we started licensing engine oils, and that happened when the military wanted to give up their military specifications. And correspondingly, we have 35 years of testing engine oils in the marketplace so that they meet the performance standards that are prescribed. The current standards include the EOLCS standards for engine oils. The EOLCS standards currently are GF6A and GF6B. EOLCS GF6 was the first standard that was split into two levels, an A and a B level, with the B level being primarily for low viscosity 0W16 oil. Until next Saturday, there still is GF5 oils that are allowed, but on May 1st, 2021, GF5 officially becomes obsolete. And at that time, it will be removed as a licensable standard. But that's only 2 days from now. The API standards include API SP, which is a parallel of the EOLCS GF6 standard. We also have some older standards, API SN, API SM, API SL, and the oldest standard we have that is currently licensable is API SJ. SJ is for vehicles made 2001 and older. So those are the current API standards for gasoline engine oils. Now we also at API have diesel engine oils. CK4 is the current standard. It is a standard that was an upgrade in performance but it is set for very low sulfur fuels, 15 parts per million sulfur in the fuel, and it's primarily an on-the-road and off-road type diesel engine oil. CJ4 was its predecessor, and CI4 was earlier yet, introduced in 2002. CI4 was the last of the engine oils that really were used for high sulfur fuels, like 0.5% sulfur. And we still have a few oils that maintain CH4 as a current engine oil standard. Now, with the introduction of CK4 and the latest category of diesel engine oils, we had another split category. There's FA4, which is for XW30 oils. These are primarily on-the-road engine oils for trucks of the model year 2017 and newer. So FA4 is what is considered a low viscosity oil that improves the fuel economy and lowers the greenhouse gas emissions. But that is a very quick review of what standards are currently licensed by API. However, let's look a little more deeply into what some of these are. EOLCS GF6A, it's backward compatible where EOLCS GF5 and earlier oils are recommended. Actually, that's true of all the standards, is that they are backward compatible. It's the latest in the line of oils sponsored by the Independent Lubricant Specification Advisory Committee, which is where the acronym EOLCS comes from. Licensing began 1 year ago on May 1st in 2020. And the oil viscosities that are eligible for GF6A are relatively limited: 0W20s, 0W30s, 520s, 530s, 1030s. GF6A replaces GF5. It's a one-to-one replacement. And EOLCS GF5 does go away on Saturday, May 1st of 2021. We also had the split category for EOLCS GF6. EOLCS GF6B has one viscosity grade currently, 0W16. It is equivalent to API SN with resource conserving. Licensing began again on May 1st, 2020. The test limits for everything but the fuel economy test are the same for GF6A and GF6B. The sequence 6F is a different fuel economy test, and that is the only test that is different for EOLCS GF6B. A new trademark was introduced with EOLCS GF6B. It is the API Shield. EOLCS was concerned about misapplication. Not all engines are capable of running on the very thin 0W16 oils. So the trademark Shield is intended to inform consumers to use 0W16 oils only in engines that are recommended to operate with GF16, 0W16 oils. API SP is a little broader than the EOLCS GF6 categories. It's an overarching standard because it includes both GF6A and GF6B under its banner. Licensing began on the same date, May 1st, 2020. So it was introduced at the same time as EOLCS GF6. And all the requirements are generally the same between EOLCS GF6A and GF6B. The only real difference is that not all SP oils will meet the fuel economy requirements, because some API SP oils could be 20W50s or 20W60s or even 10W40s. All API SP oils are eligible to display the trademark donut, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. Oils licensed as SP are automatically awarded the designation SN+, which means that they are protected against low-speed pre-ignition. The benefits of these new oils, these latest oil standards, all of the oils are improved over their previous category. So API SP oils are higher quality than API SN. There were 7 new engine tests introduced for API SP and GF6. Now that was a major undertaking, and what it did is it improved the test engines and made them more current with current designs used in vehicles in the marketplace. There are also more stringent test limits, and that means it's a more robust oil than its predecessors. API SP and EOLCS GF6 had better wear protection. They also included new performance requirements for low-speed pre-ignition, which is especially important on direct injected gasoline engines, and timing chain wear protection, which also tends to be an issue with direct injected engines. There were also fuel economy improvements with EOLCS GF6A and GF6B. Some of the challenges that comes with having a new engine oil category is the fact that we split the category. For the first time, the EOLCS specification had 2 levels, GF6A and GF6B, so that was a major issue to communicate to the consuming public. OEMs had to be very explicit which viscosities were to be applied to their engines. Oil change locations needed to understand the OEM recommendations for the specific vehicle and the specific engine. And we also have a challenge that OEMs may, at some point, think of adding even lighter viscosity grades to the GF6B specification. Currently, it's limited to 0W16, but that could change in the future. We also had a challenge with the development of new and replacement engine tests that support the API standards. Remember, there were 7 tests that went into the new categories, the GF6 category and the API SP. And that is a major undertaking because we've never done 7 new tests at one time. What happens on May 1st? Last May 1st was the introduction of GF6A, GF6B, and API SP. But on Saturday, EOLCS GF5 stops being licensable. GF5 products can no longer display the Starburst trademark. GF6 products may still be displayed the API SN donut, so you will see API SN in place of EOLCS GF5. Marketers were given 1 year to reformulate their products to meet the EOLCS GF6A specification. Licensees should be removing GF5 from their licenses before Saturday. There still are over 6,700 licensed GF5 oils. So it's a significant number of oils that will be dropped off the licenses. API will actually withdraw any remaining GF5 oils on Saturday. And in doing so, our website for the EOLCS system will be offline this weekend because we will be deleting all of the GF5 oils. It should be noted that if there is a product that is in the marketplace, it may still continue to display the starburst, but it should have a manufacturer date before May 1st, 2021 in order to continue to use the starburst. In other words, it has to be in the marketplace. So API engine oil licensing and certification. What are API licensed oils? What is an API licensed product? API defines a product as having a unique combination of 4 properties: brand name, viscosity grade, API service category, and additional designations. For example, you might have a unique licensed product. We've got an example here of Mobile Delvac 1300 Super. It's a 10W30, CK4, CJ4, CI4SN, CI4 Plus. You could also label it Mobile Delvac 1300, 10W30, CK4, CJ4, CI4, CH4/SN, CI4 Plus. Both of those meet the 4 requirements for a unique combination of the 4 properties. And I've got my cat here coming to help comment as well. Here's an interesting breakdown. How do the API licenses break down in the marketplace? We have licenses awarded in 68 countries on a global basis. There are 902 licensed engine oil marketers as of March 31st. 62% of the licensees are outside North America. So significantly more than half the licensees are somewhere else in the world, not just in North America. Over 150 new companies licensed during 2020. And Asia Pacific, North America, Middle East, and Europe are the fastest growing regions for licensing API oils. And you can see down here just how much the licensing has grown over the past 5 years, from roughly 730 in 2015 to over 900 in 2020. API GF6, API SP breakdown. Over 5,400 products are currently meeting the new specifications as of March 31st, 2021. Licensees are awarded in 35 countries, so we have licensees in 35 countries. Over half of all licensed companies added at least 1 product meeting the new specification. North America represents 65% of the EOLCS GF6A specification, but Asia Pacific leads the licensing for EOLCS GF6B at 55% of those products. And you can kind of see that on the graphics on the right-hand side, where you can see the total number of SP licenses, the total number of GF6B licenses, and the total number of GF6A licenses. And it's broken down in those bar charts by region. GF6A viscosity grade, you see it breaks down with the most popular grade still being SAE 5W30, but it's very quickly followed by SAE 5W20 and 0W20 at almost equivalent. They are also equivalent to 10W30. There is some movement toward the lower viscosities, 0W30. GF6A by viscosity grade. It's somewhat of a confusing chart, but you can kind of pick out the color and follow it across from all licenses on the left-hand side to by region as you go across. from left to right. So for example, let's pick up 5W20, which is the greenish color. It's 23% of all licensees, but in North America it's 27%. In Asia Pacific it's 13%, Europe 19%, Middle East 22%, and so forth. And you can do that with all of the different VIS grades that are popular for GF6A. API SP by viscosity grade. We have a dominant number at 5W30, roughly a bit over 1,300 licensees. But 0W20 and 5W20 are also equally popular, about 800 licensees apiece. So you can see that there is a shift toward lower viscosities as auto manufacturers tend to shift their recommendations toward lower viscosity oils. For diesel engine oil, CK4 and FA4, the regional breakdown is still heavily for the CK4 over-the-road, off-road type oil specification, with 68% of that in North America and 19% of that in Asia Pacific. FA4 is 72% in North America and 20% in Asia Pacific. But FA4 is still relatively low acceptance in the marketplace because it is required for the newest trucks on the road. It is not a backward compatible engine oil because not all engines, diesel engines, are designed to run on 10W30 oils. Some of the news on proposed category 12 or PC12. There is a new diesel engine oil that has been started. The new category evaluation team has just been formed. At the last diesel engine oil advisory panel on April 1st, there was a request by the Engine Manufacturers Association to start work on PC12 or proposed category 12. Basically, we're going to be answering the questions that you see here on the screen. What is the proposed change? Why is it required? Does the data present support the request? When is it needed? All of these questions will be answered in the coming months. So this is something that is breaking news. Products by service category, diesel engine oil products. Products by service category, these are gasoline engine oil products and diesel engine oil products. You can see currently the newest categories are growing. SP has about 24%, but SN, which was the original gasoline engine oil category, still maintains a large percentage at 62%. CK4, on the other hand, has become the dominant category, with CJ4 dominant category at 34%, and CJ4 dropping to 27%. Products by viscosity grade. Most popular grade for gasoline engine oils is still 5W30. The most popular grade for heavy-duty engine oils is still the traditional 15W40. Engine oils. We do have websites. API.org/EOLCS will allow you to search for any licensed engine oil. And there are engine oil documents on api.org that give you additional information. So before I end my discussion, I'm going to touch a little bit on the aftermarket audit program. The aftermarket audit program has 4 goals. It is protecting the integrity of the licensed oil. It also enables us to sample the oils and test that the oils are meeting the performance requirements they are licensed to meet. API has been testing those oils for over 25 years, and it's tested more than 8,600 oils over that time. And in addition to oil sampling, API also samples and tests products in the marketplace that are using the API certification marks or trademarks without authorization. How the API AMAP system works: API purchases oils in the marketplace and tests them. We test them for conforming to the test results that are on file with us. At the minimum, all oil samples will undergo viscometric and elemental analysis, but may also undergo foaming, oxidation, corrosion, and shear stability tests.
Hi, Dennis. Bernard here, Dennis. Just to let you know, you dropped off for a while and now your slides are gone. Can you reshare your slides, please?
I'm dropped off?
Yeah, for a few seconds. And you're back now, but there's no slides for the audience to see.
Okay. All right. I will go back to that and reshare. I don't know what happened, but okay. Thank you for telling me. Always technical difficulties.
Okay, I see API aftermarket audit program.
Yes. So if you want me to go back, I don't know how far to go back, or should I just continue from where I'm at?
I think it's okay to continue from where you're at.
Okay. So how the API aftermarket audit program works, or the API AMAP program. We purchase oils in the marketplace. We test the oils that they conform to the fingerprints that we have on file. We call them fingerprints, even though they're registered with the properties that we ask for. At the minimum, all samples undergo viscometric and elemental analysis, as well as volatility testing. They may also be tested for foaming, oxidation, corrosion, and shear stability. The product packaging is also checked to make sure that the API trademarks are displayed properly and that there are product trace codes on the packaging. API tests oils from around the world. We are not just testing oils that we can find in the United States. We test both gasoline and diesel engine oils. API is making a specific effort to look for API SP and EOLCS GF6 engine oils and focus the testing to make sure that they are compliant with the newest, most rigorous specifications we have for gasoline engine oils. Additionally, the AMAP program does pick up diesel exhaust fluid samples because we license diesel exhaust fluid, which is helps with the catalytic conversion of exhaust, and it's licensed in Asia Pacific as well as in North America. The sample collection, we have independent contractors collecting samples, photographing the packaging, conducting a detailed analysis of the trademarks, measuring off a sample for testing, retaining the balance of the sample, shipping it off to the laboratory for sampling, and making sure that the chain of custody is held in place. It's quite a long list of tests that the engine oils undergo. This particular chart, which I hope you're seeing, does list both passenger car and heavy-duty engine oil because the testing varies a bit depending on whether it is a passenger car or a heavy-duty engine oil. But these are the complete list of tests. Not every oil will undergo each test, but they could. Testing and retesting. So we test the oil. If there is a fail or if there's a problem that is indicated, we will retest the oil. If it's a critical problem, we will actually send the oil to a second lab to make sure that it's not a laboratory issue. Assuming that the oil does have a problem, we will communicate with the oil marketer, making sure that that oil is tested again by the oil marketer if they want, but we want to understand what is wrong with the oil and how it can be fixed. There is an acceptance in the API testing for reproducibility of the test, so we do have a reproducibility allowance. So we do have a limited range of acceptability, not just the specific number. All of the test results are reviewed by consultants, a third-party consultant, to make sure that they have an independent review and they meet the requirements that are on file with the API as part of our fingerprint. In other words, that the oil that's in the bottle that we tested is actually what they said they were going to market. And then API issues a final report to the oil marketer. This is a very brief example of what the report would look like. And at the bottom of this page is just sort of our feedback to the marketer as what we found. In this case, it was a question about a trademark that they were using on their oil that may have been confused with one of the API trademarks. So once we have an issue like that, we will work for resolution. API will work with the marketers to resolve all compliance issues. It's on a 30-day cycle, or it can be on as short as a 15-day cycle to resolve it, depending on what the problem is. If it's a critical problem, it's 15 days. API reviews the responses that we get from the oil marketer as to how they are going to resolve the issue. And depending on what the discussion yields, we will work toward closing the audit and finding that the oil is back in the market and meets all of the requirements of the licensing program. One last thing to note is that in Asia Pacific, API is working very currently to increase the AMAP marketing, or AMAP testing, I should say. Beginning in 2020, API began working with a Chinese partner to sample oils in the Chinese marketplace. We sampled 130 oils, 80% of them gasoline and 20% of them diesel. The sampling was largely done from the internet due to COVID-19, and that was because of restrictions on person-to-person contact. Other areas in Asia Pacific that get a lot of attention in AMAP include Japan, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, where we have contractors that pick up oil samples on a regular basis. For 2021, API plans to continue collecting oil samples in China, targeting at least 200 samples. And we are going to be broadening our sampling footprint to other sales formats, not just internet, but we'll be collecting samples in person and potentially collecting bulk samples. And that is roughly the presentation I was asked to give. I think I'm on time, maybe a touch over. And I apologize, I was offline. So
thank you very much, Dennis.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Very informative, very detailed. And now I think it's time for some Q&A from the audience. Yeah, and everybody, you can either raise your hand and ask a question, or you can send your questions to the question box. So let's start the ball rolling. I think there is one question being sent to the question box. I'll read it out. Question number 1 is, why is GF5 been obsoleted? In Asia, this is still widely used as far as we know.
GF5 is obsoleted as a requirement of EOLCS. They want a single trademark to represent a single performance of the oil. So whenever a new category is brought forward, a new category like GF6, they require that GF5 be obsoleted. It is an API agreement that the oil marketers are given 1 year to remove the GF5 from the marketplace. In other words, stop manufacturing and switch their products over to products meeting GF6. And the reason why GF5 is not needed is because GF6 is backward compatible. By definition, EOLCS requires that the standard be developed in such a way that it is backward compatible to the earlier categories. So GF6 meets all the requirements of EOLCS GF5, and it protects engines that required EOLCS GF5 oils without a problem. That is why it's obsolete.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Dennis. So any other questions from the audience? There's none at the moment, but if you guys, okay, good. There's another one. Can you comment on the new global OEM certification program? Will it exist side by side with API?
If you're talking about the International Fluids Coalition, that was announced only 2 weeks ago or so, and we have read the information that is available. It is strictly an OEM-driven program. It is not a consensus program. It is driven by the OEMs. It is a program that, as far as we understand, uses primarily the same engine tests as API and EOLCS. And there are very few new tests that are not already part of the API EOLCS category. So could it exist with the new one? It could, yes, but there are still a number of questions as to what it really is accomplishing. Part of the problem we have at the moment is we have very limited information on it. We do not even know that it has wide acceptance in the OEMs.
Okay. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for the answer. Any other questions from the audience? If you have any questions that you'd like to raise, but not now at this time, do send us earlier an email on your questions, and we'll. Okay, there's a hand.
Yes, Bernard, I think you didn't see this question from Mark. It's on the panel.
I did not see the panel question. There's one more coming, just came in.
Yeah, actually, there's two. One is from Mark, and the other one is from Kunwi Kasik. Can you go ahead and read them?
Let me see. Okay, there's one question on biodiesel. Regarding biodiesel usage in Southeast Asia, which is increasing, is there any testing for API to handle this trend?
For CK4, the question of biodiesel was early on a consideration. And there was a group working for defining whether a biodiesel test was needed or some specification. When CK4 was developed, the decision after a technical review was that a biodiesel test was not to be included in CK4. And that was by the OEMs made that choice. That the OEMs like John Deere, they were leaders on that, and they felt that the current category met all the necessary requirements for biodiesel fuels, that there was not a special test required. Now that PC12 is started, and remember, when I say PC12, that's proposed category 12, so we don't have a name for it, but it's PC12 is the name for the moment. I would expect that biodiesel will be reviewed in the new category evaluation task force, or the NCET. So I would expect that this question will be reevaluated, and if necessary, a biodiesel test will be introduced for PC12.
Thanks, Dennis. One more question here. Can your TDS still claim it meets GF5?
I'm sorry, can what claim GF5?
In the, let's say, the TDS technical data sheet, can we still claim GF5?
You cannot claim it after Saturday, May 1st, 2021. It cannot be it should not be claimed. It cannot be licensed. Let's put it that way. And it's difficult to make the claim without the license.
Okay, so you can, essentially it's non-existent, you can still put it in your TDS, but it's not licensable.
Correct.
Okay. So that's a question from Mark.
Now, what you would be able to say is API SN is the equivalent of GF5.
Right.
And that is a licensable category. So that gives you the same performance, especially if you're in a EOLCS viscosity. The main difference between API SN and GF5 was which viscosities it comes in.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Any other questions? If not, like I said, if you have any more questions, do send to ALIA by email, and we'll forward it to Dennis to give. One more question just pop up from Vikasit on Total Oil Thailand. For
Okay.
gasoline with stop-start, I'll repeat the question. For gasoline with stop-start, that is idle, stop, and or hybrid, is there any specific testing to handle frequent stop-start or start-stop of the engine which will affect engine wear? A good question.
Okay. For the start-stop, there is no test that exactly covers start-stop. A number of the tests do have a test cycle which varies speed very significantly. High speed to low speed to high speed to low speed. The sequence 4B does that. It is a test that gives you protection on wear when you have a lot of start-stop. But it is not directly designed as a test against that parameter or against that operation. It is instead a test to say, with extreme frequent engine changes, speed changes, your wear is covered. With regard to the hybrid vehicle, the GF6 actually covers the hybrid vehicle because hybrid vehicles use smaller and smaller engines operating at higher and higher speeds. That is consistent not only with hybrid vehicles, but with most passenger cars where the engines have been reduced from 6 cylinders to 4 cylinders, and the engines are frequently turbocharged, all of which raises the operating temperatures similar to what you would see in a hybrid vehicle. So I think that is covered just in the basic engine designs for that are incorporated in the newer engine tests that were brought in for EOLCS GF6 and API SP.
Thanks, Dennis, and thank you, Kun Wikasit. That's a very practical question. I think I know in Bangkok, in every major city in Asia Pacific, it's so a lot of start-stop driving is required because of the number of vehicles and the short distances that we travel rather than on the motorways of the US. So thank you for that question. Okay, great. Any more questions from anybody? I've been trying to send in your questions by email, but then something just popped up, which is great. But like I said, if you do have any, send email to us and we'll get Dennis to give you a reply. In the interest of time too, I'd like to move on to the next webinar. Thank you very much, Dennis, for your great presentation and your answers to all the good questions asked. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And next, we have Kun Piyanuch Srisomphong from Thailand. Kun Piyanuch is currently the head of Lubricants Standard Development Group, the Fuels Quality Division, in the Department of Energy Business in Thailand. She has more than 20 years of working experience in the registration of engine oils in Thailand, evaluating documents on appearance, quality, engine test results, and developing the notification of engine oils. Kun Piyanuch earned her Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Mahidol University. She gained her Masters of Business Administration, MBA in Public Management from the Burapha University in Thailand. Her talk today is on protection of Thai consumers in engine oils. Since 1995, engine oil registered by oil traders must be specified on the appearance and quality. Now, this includes the formulation, the results of engine oil performance tests, formulation of engine oil used in performance testing, in order to be approved and assigned a registration number, which can be shown on the engine oil label of the engine oil itself. Engine oil registration is under the supervision of the Department of Energy Business, and Kun Piyanuch's presentation has been pre-recorded, and you'll be starting the recording soon. And after her presentation, Kun Piyanuch has requested that you send us your questions by email, and then we'll send it to Kun Piyanuch for her to reply. Please.
สวัสดีค่ะ My name is Piyanuch Srisomphong from Lubricant Standard Development Group, Fuel Quality Division, Department of Energy Business, Ministry of Energy Thailand. I'm so grateful to have been given the opportunity to present today. The topic is engine oil registration in Thailand. I would like to introduce organization and responsibility of Lubricant Standard Development Group, history of engine oil quality controlling, engine oil specification and legislation, and last topic about test volume of engine oil in Thailand. May I introduce the Lubricant Standard Development Group? This is one of Group's in-field quality division Department of Energy Business, responsible for developing the specification for apparent and quality of engine oils, supervise engine oil tender by approval, performance of engine oil and registration engine oils, which oil tender wishing to distribute in order to protect consumer to use quality engine oils. Public information and give suggestion to engine oil tender and consumers. The section I will present about history of engine oil quality control in Thailand. This has been started since 1971. In the past, it was regulated by the Ministry of Commerce, which issued the notification by specifying only physical property of engine oil, such as viscosity, fat point, corrosion, copper stiffness, foaming characteristics, sediment and water content. At that time, there were only 6 monogate 10W, 20W, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And engine oil tender can distribute multi-gate engine oil which must meet the requirement of both monogate. Later, in 1994, the Cabinet approved in accordance with the resolution of the National Energy Policy Council regarding the problem of illegal engine oil and assigned the Ministry of Commerce to improve the specification of engine oil quality in order to protect the consumer who use engine oil in terms of engine performance. In 1995, the Ministry of Commerce issued new notification by classify engine oil quality into type. 1. Physical property. Engine oil tender must produce and distribute engine oil meets requirement as specified in the notification. 2. Performance of engine oil, which shall be notified by oil tender and has approved a registration number. This was the starting for the registration of engine oil in Thailand. In 2002, there was a restructuring of the government organization. The Ministry of Energy was established. Then, Mission for Lubricant Quality Control was moved to under the Department of Energy Business, the Ministry of Energy. Addition specification for apparent and quality of engine oils according to the notification of the Department of Energy Business, 2019. In this notification, engine oil means engine oil for use in four-stroke gasoline engine and diesel engine, which domestic produce and import to distribute in country, and it is not applied to engine oil to export. Physical property in this notification is classified to 14 monogate, 0W, 5W, 10W, 15W, 20W, 25W, 8, 12, 16, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60, according to SAE standard J300. And for multi-gate engine oils shall meet requirement of both monogate. This is the items of physical property which described in the annex of the notification. The limit we specify in this notification is set by agreement of engine oil tender meeting before notification was updated and some items accordant with international standard. For test method accordant with ASTM standard. This part is about engine oil legislation. Engine oil tender shall notify appearance and quality of engine oil in terms of performance and get an approval from the Department of Energy Business by the Director General before to distribute engine oil to retail and consumers. There are 3 groups of engine oil tender which must get an approval. 1. Engine oil producer. 2. Engine oil importer. 3. Engine oil distributor. Engine oil distributor means tender by engine oil from engine oil producer and rebrand to be own trademarks. Engine oil tender must submit the document for registration and follow. Producer and importer must submit notification form, application for declare TBN and elemental content, formulation of engine oil, data sheet of additive and base oil, engine test result and formulation of engine oil used in engine test. For the engine oil distributor, which buy engine oil from engine oil producer and rebrand to be own trademark, will submit the document different from producer and importer by submit the letter of consent to permit referencing of appearance and quality of approved engine oil from engine oil producer instead of submit formulation of engine oil and test result document. In notification form, engine oil tender need to fill information about location of head, location of blending, packaging, storage, and detail of engine oil, which consists of name of engine oil, standard, and level of quality. At least one standard that will be shown to consumer, such as API or ACEA or JASO or the other standards, such as OEM, automotive manufacturers. The engine oil tender need to report TBN, elemental content, sulfur, and sulfate at interminimum and maximum, and vary up 20% from typical value. Except in a case with the standard of engine oil specify the limit with maximum or minimum, the engine oil tender needs to report not more than or less than maximum and minimum of that standard. In case of engine oil importer and distributor, which rebrand need to request information from engine oil producer in order to fill out this form. This document used only by engine oil producer and engine oil importer must declare additive and base oil used in formulation of engine oil to be registered and need to sign to certify by engine oil producer and formulation owner. In a case the importer, the document needs to be signed by the procedure form above. Besides declaring additive and base oil in production formulation, oil tender must also provide and submit a product data sheet of additive and base oil used in the production. Data sheet of additive which shall include information of name, type, application, recommend dosage, date number, elemental content, and chemical physical property. Data sheet of base oil which shall include information of production salt, group, and classified by API, chemical and physical characteristics such as sulfur content, viscosity index, and saturated content. When the oil tender apply engine oil registration, the engine oil test result is one of the important information which must submit by declare item of engine test, parameter, and test limit, engine test result, oil cost, name of test sponsor. Test sponsor means who send engine oil to test with may be additive company or engine oil tender with the formulation owner. Name of testing, laboratory and test run number. The engine test must follow the requirement of engine test standard and level of quality of engine oil product that will be distributed to consumer. For example, API, ACEA, JASO, and OEM. This document needs to sign by the oil tender producer, formulation owner, additive manufacturer, test sponsor in order to certify the information. This is an example of summary of engine test result document. Once the engine oil tender declare production formula, the engine oil tender must Also, declare formulation of engine oil used in engine test. If engine oil production formula different from the test formula, the engine oil trader needs to submit additional information according to the practice or guideline of each standard, such as viscosity gauge, liter cost, base oil interchange, performance additive formulation modification, viscosity modified interchange. I will summarize a supporting document list to apply engine oil registration. Engine oil producer and engine oil importer must submit notification form, application for declare TBN and elemental content, formulation of engine oil, datasheet of engine oil, datasheet of base oil, engine test result, and formulation of engine oil used in engine test. For engine oil distributor which buy engine oil from producer and demand to be own test mass, will submit notification form, application for declare TBN and elemental content, right producer and importer, but not declare formulation and engine test result, but must submit the letter of consent to permit referencing of appearance and quality of approved engine oil from engine oil producer instead of submission formulations of engine oil and test result documents. After the official has considered all the documents, the Director General will approve and issue a certification of approval, which a registration number is given to engine oil trader, which shall comprise a top hole symbol and registration number inside a rectangle as follows this slide. The certification of approval and a registration number shall be given for each product, its viscosity gauge, and valid for 3 years as from the date of its issue, except a case the engine oil distributor which buy to the appearance and which buy and refer appearance and quality of engine oil from engine oil producer. The expiry date of the certificates given shall be the same as producer. The engine oil trader can apply to renew the certificates of approval within 60 days before the expiry date. The engine oil trader which get certificates and registration number must display registration number in the product label. Includes product name must be a name that has been approved by the Department of Energy Business without adding, cutting, rearranging, or setting words which lead to the misunderstanding, and show viscosity gauge, standard and quality level of the engine oil, and the statement approved by the approved by the Department of Energy Business, and name of approved oil trader which is in the certificate of approval. The engine oil trader have duty to store engine oil product. The officer will sampling and inspect the physical property, TBN, and element in laboratory. The oil trader must notify their annual test volume of engine oil to the Department of Energy Business, which will be present in the next section. This part about test volume of engine oil in 2019. There are 250 engine oil traders and 6,000 registration number which have been approved from the Department of Energy Business. But engine oil which distribute and report test volume is over 2,000 registration number, or 37% of all. Test volume is classified by type of oil trader as follows. 47 producer. There are over 2,000 registration number, but distribute about 1,000 registration number, or 30%. and 47 importer. There are 800 registration number distribute about 500 registration number or 56%, and 146 distributor with rebrand in own trademark. There are 1,600 registration number distribute just 700 registration number or 43%. Total supply is 182 million liters, classified as domestic production for distribution in own trademark 68%, production to rebrand 21%, and import 3%. Section domestic production classified as domestic distribute 84% and export 13%. Section domestic distribute classified to diesel engine oil 63%, gasoline engine oil 31%, and gasoline and diesel came ACEA standard about 6%, and engine oil is registered by notifying that it is used with NGV 0.5%. In the total sale volume, domestic of 300 million liters is classified to API standard 80%, ACEA 8%, JASO 5%, mainly used for motorcycle, and the other OEM 6.6%. For engine oil that refer API standard is classified to engine oil, to diesel engine oil 71%, and gasoline engine oil almost 30%. Engine oil distribution in Thailand based on most API standard. Diesel engine oil are distributed in quality level from API CC to API CK4, which is the highest quality level of diesel engine oil in pistons, but the quality level with the highest sale volume in 2019 is CI4 about 30%, SAE 10W 30, 50W 15W 40. The second API CF4 about 25%, SAE 20W 50, 15W 40, 10W 30. Next API CF about 16%, SAE 40, and API CH4 14%, SAE 15W 40, 20% 50. And gasoline engine oil are distributed in quality level from API SC to API SN plus. Sale volume of API SP shall report in 2020, but there is registered engine oil which came API SP 160 number in total 6,000 number in 2020. In 2019, gasoline quality level with the highest sale volume in API SN about 40%. Most SAE 5W30, 0W20, 5W40. The second API SF 30%, SAE 40. Next API SL 14%, SAE 10W30, 20W40, 10W40, and API SG about 10% in SAE 20W40. Next, we will compare domestic production, import, domestic sale, and NGI export in the past 5 years from 2015 to 2019, which statistic is show no significant difference, but in 2020, it is expected that there may be some impact from COVID-19 situation, which will be evaluated in this year. This chart is comparison the domestic production volumes classified by engine type within 5 years. There were no significant difference, but if considered by standard, we'll find that the trend of engine oil distribution based on JASO or ACES standard has increased slightly. The last chart shows comparison the domestic sales classified by standard within 5 years. Total volume, there were no significant difference, but distribution of API engine oil for gasoline engine within 5 years, sale volume of API SN were the highest. For diesel engine oil in 2015, sale volume of API CF4 were the highest. Later, since 2016, sale volume of API CI4 were the highest. In 2019, sale volume of engine oil based on JASO and ACES standard trend increased slightly. It is evaluation of only the test volume informed by the oil trader, but not evaluate against the engine type still used in country. The notification specification for appearance and quality of engine oil and registration and test volume will be public on the website on the Department of Energy Business. If you wish to request additional information, you can contact via email piyanuch@doeb.go.th. Thank you for your kind attention.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was, I must say, a very detailed, very informative discussion or sharing by Piyanuch there on the Thailand registration. And even though as informative and detailed as it is, I'm sure some of you will have some questions. So it's unfortunate that Piyanuch is not able to take the questions in person today. So I appreciate if you can send your questions to us, and we'll ensure that the questions will be answered and a reply sent to you. And so before I close, I just want to thank the two speakers, Dennis Bachelder of the API and also Piyanuch on the engine oil registration in Thailand. Thank you very much to all of you who attended and your great questions that you have asked and the answers provided by Dennis. So thank you so much for your participation. Thank you and have a very good day ahead. Goodbye.